We'll do the best we can. All right, so I bought a new car for 20 grand. I put $3,000 down and financed the rest for 4 years at $400 per month. Find these 4 pieces of information about my loan. All right, so amount financed. $17,000 because you take the price and you subtract the down payment. $17,000. All right, how much did I pay in interest over the life of this loan? How do we figure that out? So take the months. How many months are there? 48, because it's a 4-year loan. How much am I paying a month? 400. Yes, subtract the amount financed. Please, please, please subtract the amount financed and don't go back to the price here. That tends to be the one mistake that students can make, is using the price instead of the amount financed when you subtract. That's $19,200 if you multiply those things out. So $19,200 minus the $17,000. I'm going to pay $2,200 in finance charges. Life sometimes sucks. Of course, that's buying a car. That's what you have to do. So the deferred payment price, please remember that that's the total amount of money you spent to buy the thing. How much money did I actually spend? 2 ways you can get the answer. You can either follow the money. The money is the 48 at $400 a month plus the down payment. Don't forget that you put money down potentially. $22,200. The other way you can do it is to say whatever the price of the item was, plus any of the extra payments you had to make, which is always your finance charge. Price plus the finance charge is the other way to get the deferred payment price. And those 2 numbers, of course, had better be the same. All right, then APR. Again, I mildly apologize for APR because you have to use the tables, and you have to use the tables with the tables that are microscopic. Don't ask me why they used a font size that was basically, font size 5 or something like that, but they did. We have to deal with it. So remember that the way you do the formula for APR is that you take your finance charge divided by the amount financed. So finance charge over amount financed, and then technically times $100 or times 100 per financing. Round that number to the nearest hundredth. So 2,200 divided by 17,000 times 100. This number is 12.94. And the idea, again, is that you're looking for the numbers in the table that are closest to that. So get into your almost readable tables. And remember that you look on the row that represents the number of payments you're making. So since it's 4 years, look at row 48 and move to the right until you find the numbers that are just less than and just more than this. So 48, shooting off to the right, we're looking for 12.94. 38 and 39. row 48, the lower number, 12.73, the upper number, 13.28, and the key here is figuring out which one of these two is closer. Whichever one's closer, that's the winner. Okay? So, in theory, subtract these two numbers, and whichever number is smaller, that's the one that's the winner, right? So 12.94 minus 12.273 is 0.22. 13.28 minus 12.95 is 0.34. Since this number is smaller, this number is closer. So use 12.73, go up. That's the 6% APR column. Okay, so this is a slightly weird table to use because instead of starting in the top and working your way down, you go along a row until you find where you belong and then go up.
Did we do this before?
Yep. Monday. The 100 comes, if you look at the tables, underneath, yes we did it on Monday. So on those tables where it says annual percentage rate, if you look underneath the percentages, what does it say? It says finance charge per $100 of amount financed. That per $100 is where this times 100 comes from, technically. So does everybody see where the 12.73 and 13.28 were in the table? Get out your magnifying glass so that you could read the damn thing. You're on row 48 and just keep going to the right until you find the numbers that are just above and just below what you calculated. You may have to flip to the next page. So, yep. And then if you go up from 12.73 all the way to the top to the percentages, that's where the 6% comes from. All right, so this is a problem where I give you what the monthly payment is, all right? You can have other problems where instead of giving you the monthly payment, they say, look, you're going to have to pay a certain amount of interest on this loan, period. So they give you what the finance charge is. And they say, okay, here's the loan that I can give you, enjoy, or take it or leave it, that kind of thing. Same sort of thing, though. You want to go about it the same process, right? What's the amount financed? Take your price. Subtract your down payment. I put $200 down. So I financed $1,800 worth of TV in this case. Now, here's a slightly tricky part. How do we get this into a monthly payment? The key to realizing how to calculate the monthly payments is to take the total amount of money you have to pay and divide it by the total number of payments you're going to make. Right? Please realize that the total amount of money you pay is the amount that you financed plus the finance charge. Okay? Take that number and divide by how many months you're going to pay this over. We're going to pay this over a year and a half, so it's 18 months. So we want 18 equal monthly payments that'll pay off all of that money. So I'm going to have to pay $122.22 per month to, for 18 months to officially buy my TV. Now, what will I actually pay for the TV? Cool part about it is that since I gave you the finance charge and you know what the price is, this calculation is relatively easy, right? $2,000, $400 in finance charges. Now, what's the other way that I could calculate that? Follow the money, right? I put $200 down, and I'm going to make 18 payments of $122.22. What do you get when you multiply all that together? Uh-oh. Did I do something wrong? They're not the same number. Why aren't... I mean, they were over here. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, did I? It's all right. So where'd the problem come from? Well, I rounded or something. Absolutely correct. When I did this number, did it work out to be exactly $122.22? No, it was $122.22, and then there were a whole bunch of twos going after it, right? We rounded it to the nearest penny, and by rounding it, these numbers don't work out exactly correctly, okay? That often happens when you get loans like this, where they say you're going to pay $400 in interest. What happens is that you're going to pay $122.22 each month for 17 months. And then the last month, you'll have to make up the extra 4 pennies and pay $122.26. So a lot of times loans where you have a fixed amount of interest that you have to pay, it may not divide evenly. So that last month, you always have a correction factor. It's a good thing to know because this is why they say it's an equal monthly payment, but really the last month always has to take care of any rounding errors that may have occurred. All right? No biggie. Now, you may think, well, who cares about the 4 cents, right? I mean, why doesn't the bank just ignore it and just make me pay $122.22 every month? And exactly, and 4 cents to a bank when it's got lots of those types of potential loans going on, that 4 cents may add up to like $4. Do you think a bank is going to get pissy about $4? Hell yes. Banks get mad if you have 1 penny less than what you're supposed to pay. So 4 pennies, that's 4 times as much as a penny. Wow, that's really scary. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit trivial. But the fact remains is that, yes, the bank will care about the 4 cents. All right? Now, APR. Follow the rules. Finance charge divided by amount financed. Multiply that by 100. $22.22. To find the APR, go back to that APR table. What row are we going to look at this time? We're making 18 payments, so look on row 18. Looking for 22.22. Keep going. It's not on the first 2 pages. 11.24. 14.64. Keep going. Uh-oh. In row 18, what's the largest number in the tables? 18.09. That represents 21.75%. Since my number is more than that, and since my tables have stopped, the only thing I can say is that it's more than 22%, or more than 21.75%. If the number is too big to fit on the tables, that just means we don't have enough table space to get to the number, okay?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm looking at number payment. Is there another page?
Yep, keep going.
Oh.
It keeps going and going.
Oh, boy. Hold on.
Keep going. And you will finally get to a last page eventually. And there you'll see that the biggest number in row 18, what was it, 18.09 or something? And unfortunately, our number is still bigger than that. And so all that we can say is that the interest rate has to be more than 21.75%. So in other words, when I went to buy this TV, whoever was financing it was, bending me over and screwing me, well. Doesn't seem like that would be a bad idea, though, either, right? I mean, think about it. If you have to pay $400 in financing for that, I mean, that's not too bad, right? But it's definitely in the 20 to 25% range, folks, so this is not a good deal. Basically, I do this problem so that I can point out that the tables do have a maximum number, and then if you get past it, all you can say is that I'm past the tables and I'm somewhere beyond it. If you want, and you're bored, you can go look up these tables on the internet and find where 22.2 is if you want. But I wouldn't ask you to do it for this particular class, so don't sweat it too terribly much. All right, so again, though, these are the types of things that I ask you when you're given loans, right? Amount financed, monthly payment, finance charge, deferred payment price, APR. Those are all fair games anytime I put a loan in front of you. Now, that was review. We did that on Monday, technically. What happens if I give it to you the other way around? All right, so I was talking to my wife the other day, and she wants to buy a new Audi convertible all-wheel drive car. You guys know how much those cost? 60. Yeah. All right, I need to buy a $60,000 car. Okay. I got $3,000 I can put down on it. And in talking to a car dealer, I can get 8% APR over 5 years. So my question to you is, same questions, right? What was my amount financed? What would be my finance charge? Well, before you do that, you got to do the monthly payment. Monthly payment, because you got to calculate it given this problem. Then you want to tell me what the finance charge is and what the deferred payment price is. Right, so back in the chapter 12 and 13, we figured out how to buy one of these cars where we're investing to make the goal. Let's figure out how much it's going to cost if we borrow instead, right? Seems like a reasonable thing to do. All right, so the amount finance part, that hasn't changed. I need to borrow $57,000 to pay for this car. Yoink. All right, now, finding the monthly payment, if you would go into your tables to page 45, or the book, it's table 14.2. The title of this section of the book, it's called the Loan Amortization Table. When you are figuring how much to pay monthly to pay off a loan plus interest, that's what amortizing is called. That's the definition of amortizing. So that's why this table is being used. Please note that it's monthly payment per $1,000 of principal and interest. Okay? The idea here is that to figure out the monthly payment, you are going to take the amount financed per $1,000, or divided by 1,000, and then times the table entry. Again, if you think of this in terms of chapter 12 and chapter 13, what we were doing in chapter 12 and 13 was always saying, I have some value of P, and then I need to find some table entry and multiply the two. We're just continuing that concept, okay? Take some value of P, which takes a little bit of work, and then multiply it by whatever the table entry is. And in this case, that table entry is for small installment loans, short-term loans. Note that what's the longest number of years you can get a loan and use that top table? 60 months worth of payments, hence 5-year loans, okay? So for my example I'm working with, I borrowed $57,000, divide it by 1,000, and then multiply in the 8% column, go down to the row that represents how many payments I'm making. So 8%, 60, that's times 20.28. So what am I going to pay per month to buy my wife her car? Did you punch it out? I agree that she is. I'm not laughing that she isn't. It's a good thing that this is, 50 miles away from my house. Oh, that's true. I assume that one of these days she'll watch my videos, but she never has yet. I put them all out on YouTube.
Do you guys have the same last name?
No. No, she didn't take my name. She kept her own name. That was fun. All right, so I would have to pay $1155.96 per month for 5 frickin' years to be able to buy this car, which of course is the number that I show her to let her know why we're not going to get the car, because this is like basically double our mortgage payment. So, no, we refinanced recently. All right, so how much am I going to pay in finance charges over the life of this loan? Again, the process is the same as it was before. Take the amount of money that you're going to pay per month, so 5 years, 60 months, times your monthly payment, and subtract how much you borrowed. Please don't subtract the price. Again, that tends to be the mistake students make more often than not. I could buy another small car in the interest that I pay for this particular car. So that 5-year loan payment at $1155.96, I will wind up paying $12,357 some odd dollars in interest. This is just straight interest over 5 years. Ugh. Again, don't think about it. It'll make you sick. This is why you don't buy expensive cars. Bad idea. What did I actually pay for this car? Again, the two ways you can do it. Take the price plus the interest. $357 if I could write the number. Or take the down payment plus your 60 $1155.96 payments. I haven't considered it at all. She has. She was actually leafing through some of the. I think she was going through Craigslist or saw something and saw there was a 1-year-old one that was going for like $40,000. She was like, "Ooh!" And I was like, "Really?" Enough said. Well, the problem with it is that her boss has one of these cars, so every day, and it's like.
She'll get her car eventually. She's a woman.
That's true. She will.
You should get it as a bonus from her boss.
That's what I keep thinking, right?
She's a really good employee.
Could be. I don't know. She'd be having to make her lots of money for her to give her a new car, though.
She knows you're on a teacher salary, right?
Yeah.
How much does she work, what hours and stuff?
Actually, no. She doesn't. She works, but she works from home like twice a week.
Is it entry or something? What does she do?
No, she's marketing.
Oh, she is?
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun, or at least I would think it was fun. Some days she doesn't think it's fun. Some days she does. She likes to go to marketing conferences and stuff. There was once we went to Vegas for a weekend. That was cool. On the company. Oh, of course. Well, no, not on the company, but the room was on the company. Well, that was nice. We stayed up in the Wynn, which was a nice place. That's true. If you're at the table, yeah. That's what we do in Vegas. Is that I do the gambling and Lucinda stands next to me, and whenever the drink lady comes around, it's like, you guys both, I'm like, oh yeah, bring us, she would, she'd order some nice wine and I would get a beer, and then after she got her drink, she would wander around and come back about 15 minutes later because that's about how long it takes, and we'd do the same thing.
That sounds like a Disney name.
What?
That sounds like a Disney name.
A Disney name?
Yeah.
Lucinda?
Doesn't it?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know a lot of Disney named characters. I don't have kids, remember? I don't have to know the Disney princesses. Yay! Sorry. Wow. My brothers all have girls, though, so I know some of them. Yeah, that's true. It's 3-syllable, weird-sounding. Yeah. All right, so let's try one more, and then we'll move on. All right, so I bought. Let's see, what else should I buy? Cars, TVs. Come on, there's gonna be something else, and not another tractor. Oh, motorcycle. Okay. Vacation home. That's chapter 15.
You're getting a little sports there, though.
15. Sorry, I did not enunciate clearly. Chapter 15 is long-term loans. You're not going to buy a vacation home in 5 years. If you do, you're independently wealthy. All right, so I bought a motorcycle. What does a motorcycle run?
Yours is going to run cheap. It's going to be cheapo.
Amen, sister.
That's right.
$29,000 for a motorcycle?
$4,500.
Oh, I can't.
Harley.
Would you see me on a Harley?
Oh yeah, you got long hair, we could ride.
Well, okay. All right. Bought a motorcycle for. Amen, sister. Come on. I'll be driving by going, ciao.
If anyone fingers found in an old barn, so
Let's see. How much do I have to put down, Shane? That's it? Wow. Okay, but in order to put in $1,900, I'm going to have to have a pretty nasty loan. Let's suppose I, put down $1,900 and financed the rest, at 12% over 4 years. This is going to be another nasty loan, I think. So, find the standard for here. Amount financed, monthly payment, finance charge, and deferred payment price. Again, if you do go in and talk to car dealers and you are going to finance your car, they will use all of these terms. They will actually say it's the deferred payment price of. There's a new law that they passed in the last 5 or 6 years or something along the lines that any car company that finances cars, when they give you the financing, they have to actually tell you how much you're going to pay totally for the vehicle. They try to hide that from you by saying the deferred payment price will be blah. But then they'll tell you, remember that the price is really $29,000, but the deferred payment price is going to be the price plus the interest you pay for financing it. All right? So, how much should I finance? $27,100. Monthly payment. Again, the way the monthly payment calculation works, grab the amount financed, which is why you always do this first, so you have the number available to you. Divide that number by 1,000. It's always per 1,000. And then multiply that by the table entry for whatever your terms are. So, 12% over 4 years, which is 48 months. Did you guys get 26.33? What's my monthly payment? What, 54? Not so bad.
Motorcycles are dumb.
I mean, that's. I like a motorcycle as good as anybody else. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll hit my midlife crisis and I'll need to get one. As of right now, I'm safe with my little Honda Civic. So, all right. Yeah, I mean if it's a new one, right? Yeah. Okay. So, how much do I pay in interest on this financing? Again, take number of payments you're making, 48, times your payment. And again, please remember to subtract the amount financed, not the price. This is going to make me sick too. Yoink. So for $7,149.92, basically another $71.50, I have to spend on this bike in order to actually buy it or own it after 4 years, officially. and your deferred payment price, or what you paid total for the motorcycle, the price plus the interest, or the total amount of money you paid for it, the $1,900 plus the 48 times 7, 1354. So $36,149.92 actual cost. Again, if it's worth it, it's worth it. It's the kind of, if you like that kind of thing, it's the kind of thing that you will like. Somebody will have to teach me how to ride first, of course, because I don't know. All right, so any questions on being able to calculate monthly payments and all this other business when I give you the APR? We're good? Bonus. All right, so the last section we have to cover is credit cards. All right, so credit cards are also short-term loans. They are just really short-term loans. Well, for some people they can turn into long-term loans, but hopefully they don't. All right? Credit cards. The nice thing about credit cards, everything is based off good old simple interest. So you really don't have to actually learn anything new here. You just have to apply them to the credit card system, right? So if you want to figure out how much interest you have to pay if you don't pay your credit card on time, you can do it, right? It's good old I equals PRT. P in this equation is the average daily balance, or ADB, for the billing cycle. And we will learn in a little bit what how to calculate the average daily balance, but I'm guessing that you probably already know how. R is the APR of your card, whatever it is, 14.9% or 19.99%, or if you're unlucky, 24.99%, which is what most credit cards are hovering around right now. And T is just the number of days in your billing cycle. Well, third time's the charm. All right, so please note that the number of days in the billing cycle for your credit card will change from period to period, right? We like to think that our credit cards are actually a monthly payment, but that's just absolute complete baloney. It never works out that way. The number of days in your billing cycle, again, it depends a little bit on the small print in your credit card, but they have the right to change this from month to month as long as it's at least 26 days, and I think they're cut off at letting them go past 32 days. I'm not sure about that one. But most credit cards, they have the ability to change your number of billing days in each cycle whenever they feel like it. Absolutely, and that's exactly why they make it such that they can change it, is so that you don't get into a rhythm and you can't pay it on time. Because why do companies who give out credit cards, how do they make money? Late fees. I mean, they do make a little bit of money off of the interest that they earn from the payments that you give, and then they wait to pay back the companies that you charged from. I mean, they make a little bit of interest in it, money on that, but where most of the money that credit card companies make comes from late fees and finance charges. All right? So the goal of every credit card is to make you pay late, period. That's their goal. And so that's why they are constantly changing these days, so that you don't get into a rhythm and you will pay late and they can charge you $30 to $80 extra because you were late. All right? That's their goal. Be ready. If you're going to use these things, this is the stuff you're going to have to deal with. The other thing that credit card companies do, folks, is that they watch your billing at the end of a cycle. Normally, the company likes a 30-day billing cycle. I mean, they really do. But if after 26 days, or on the 26th or 27th day, you make a purchase that's a large purchase on your credit card, I guarantee you that your credit card company will cut your statement on that day, period. So, imagine, if you will, you normally charge like $100, $200 on your credit card, right? And for some reason, 1 month, on the 27th day of the billing cycle, you make a $2,000 purchase, right? You go to Best Buy and you buy a whole new TV and you put it on your credit card. Bam! Day 28, your credit card company, once it sees that large charge, which is 10 times more than what your normal billing statement is, they will cut it the first day they possibly can, in the hopes that you don't have enough money to pay it yet. Because, how do they make money again? Late fees and finance charges. So watch, or if you keep your statements, go back and look and see if normally your billing cycles are 29, 30, 31, 32 days, and then all of a sudden you'll see one that's 26 days, and you'll see the last day of your statement, here was a big, huge purchase for like $5,000 or something like that. They have the right to do it. They're going to do it, period. Okay? This is just me giving you information because this is the way they work. All right? I don't actually own a credit card company, so I feel okay telling you this information. If I did own a credit card company, I may not, because I would want you to be late and you would then have to pay me more, and I could live in the Cayman Islands somewhere with the rest of the credit card companies. All right, so anyways, just realize that these number of days vary, and they have the right to do it. It's in the small print of the contract you agreed to when you signed for the card. Nice thing about credit cards, though, they have to use exact time. Prior to 1988, which is the first Truth in Lending Act that the U.S. government passed, guess what type of interest they charged on your credit card? Ordinary, and this number was 360. Why? More money. In fact, it used to be that prior to 2009, the credit card company didn't have to tell you what the APR was on the credit card. I mean, they could kind of tell you what it was, but then they could change it at any time and for any reason at any given day. 2009, they passed the second Truth in Lending Act, which forced credit card companies to, 1, visibly report the APR on your credit card, and 2, they must change the interest rate on your credit card. Again, how that information gets passed, I'm not entirely sure, but in theory, they have to inform you anytime they change your interest rate. So if it's going to, if you signed an agreement that says it's going to be 10.9% for the first year and then switches to 24.99% after a year, technically they've already informed you it's going to be changed and they don't have to tell you a second time. But if for some reason, like you make a late payment, again, there are bylaws that state on the credit card that somewhere in writing it has to say, if you ever make a late payment, your interest rate automatically jumps to 24.99. That's now written into the credit card companies. Because as soon as you see a late payment, they're like, you're going to start paying me late lots of times, and I want to throw on more interest payments on top of it. Here's the new interest rate that you have, 25% instead of whatever you had before. Again, it's the way it is. It's a business. It's in a capitalistic country. Therefore, they can screw you however they like, right? Front ways, back ways, sideways, you name it, you're getting it. All right? That's the way credit card companies work. And they're not greasing up before, folks. You're just taking it. It's ugly. Business is nasty, man. If you're not ready for it, don't get into it. All right? Same thing goes for credit cards. If you're not able to handle the responsibility of having that much credit at your fingertips, don't take one. It's just waiting for you to go down the primrose path and get screwed. All right, so the nice part about it, though, is that to calculate what your interest payment is going to be, all you got to do is multiply those three numbers together, just like we did back in Chapter 10, and we're all good. Now, the hard part is, how do we calculate the average daily balance? Well, how do you guys calculate an average? Add up the numbers, divide by the number of numbers. Perfect. This is no different. You do it exactly the same way. So, let's suppose I have a 28-day billing cycle. And I'm going to make my first example here simple so that our calculations are not painful, and we'll get to painful here in a little bit. So the idea is that since it's a 28-day billing cycle, how many numbers are you going to have? 28, because it's the average balance. And since there's 28 days, you have to average 28 numbers together. All right. So let's suppose that I've never used this credit card before. So there's a $0 balance on it. Or I paid off my balance the prior month or prior period, whatever. So what we have to do is find 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13. We have to find our 28 numbers. So we're going to do it the long way here the first time. And I will show you the easier way once we've done it the long way once. So in fact, you guys don't even necessarily have to write all this crap out, but I want to show you how it works, all right? So imagine, if you will, I have this credit card. I didn't carry a balance into this new billing period, and on the first day, I don't charge anything. How much money did I borrow from that credit card company on that day? 0. 0 is a wonderful number, folks. Be happy when it's there, okay? It's the first number that you have to use when you start averaging all your numbers together. So, in fact, let's let that 0 last a few days. And let's suppose on the 7th day, I finally decide I have to buy something and use my credit card to buy it. So let's suppose I buy $20 at, I don't know, Culver's. I went for lunch or dinner. And we were both eating, so it was $20 because you got to get dessert. Get one of the True, but that's not enough. We have to get something nice. All right, so on the 7th day, I charged $20, so I had to borrow $20. Now, on the 8th day, I don't buy anything new, but I also don't pay the company anything. How much money did I borrow on the 8th day? $20. Right? I didn't pay the $20 off right away. So I'm still borrowing this $20. So on the 8th day, I'm still borrowing $20. There's $20 on that day. As long as I don't charge anything new, I still borrowed $20 for another day. And let's suppose that goes on for a little while, right? So let's suppose on the 15th day of the billing cycle, I finally charge something else. So let's suppose that I have to buy flowers on the 15th day of the billing cycle because my wife finally watched one of my videos. So I had to borrow, or I had to buy $25 worth of roses. Now, $25, am I done borrowing that $20 yet? I didn't pay it off yet, so I'm still borrowing it. But now I've added $25 to the amount I'm borrowing. I'm borrowing $45 on the 15th day. 25 for the flowers, 20 for the Culvers, which I bought a week and a half ago. And let's imagine, if you will, that for the rest of this billing cycle, I don't buy anything more. That credit card. I'm maybe using a different one, but this one, done. So for each one of these days, how much money did I borrow each day? $45, right? Now, hopefully, this is the way your credit card statements work. And at the end of the month, or the billing period, whatever it is, you only owe around $45. I can guarantee you that that's never how any of my credit cards end, ever. So my question to you now is, here are my 28 numbers. Average them. What do we got to do again, Jill? Average those numbers. How am I going to average them? Add them up, divide by the number of them. Okay, so what are you going to do? Add them up. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. And then you're going to punch into your calculator, right, every time. 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus. No, don't do it yet. But, I mean, in theory, this is what you would do, right? But you guys are smarter than that, right? Instead of adding this 20 together, however many times you're going to do, what are you going to do instead? Multiply. You're going to count up the number of 20s there are, and instead of adding them all together, you're going to say, oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 20s. Those all add up to 160. Now, how many zeros did I have? Do I care? Yes and no. I don't care because when you add zeros together, what are you going to get? I do care because how many 45s are there? Do you want to have to count them all up? You would rather not. I mean, you can if you have to, but you should be able to figure it out. I've used 6 zeros. I've used 8 20s. How many total days do I have? 28. How many days left do I have down here? Well, I've used 14. How many more do I need to get to 28? 14. Again, you guys are smart. You have problem-solving skills. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and count them all up. And that works. But this is the whole point of problem solving, is to say, oh, wait, I know that if I'm going to add 3 numbers and I already have 2 of them, and I know what the sum is, I can get the other number by just subtracting. Right? What's a quick 28 minus 14? That's 14. That's lots easier than going 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, it's like when you learn how to add, the whole point is that you stop using your fingers, right? Same concept here. Instead of having to point and count, think and compute. But now we can calculate these things. Oh, what's 14 times 45? 630 or something. Add the numbers up. 0 plus 160 plus 630. My average daily balance is going to be 790 by the total number of days, 28. $790 divided by 28. $28.21. So this is the number that they will use to calculate what your interest was if you don't pay off this $45 in the grace period for the next billing cycle, right? The nice thing about credit cards is that technically you get whatever it is, 12 to 18 days after this billing cycle is cut to add a bill and not get charged any interest. This number, the average daily balance, that's the P.
I know, but how many days do you get?
Depends on the credit card, but usually it's 12 to 18 days after they cut this cycle off. Again, whatever date that may be. I haven't given you any dates yet, so you don't even, there's no concept of a date yet. But it's usually 12 to 18 days. The really mean credit cards actually will only, give you 12 days to pay it without getting a penalty. Those ones are rare nowadays. It's usually 18. All right, so this is the concept behind what we're doing. That's the long way. Ugh. It's a little bit painful. So let's do one with a slightly easier approach. Again, the concepts, though, are going to remain the same. The same thing we did over here, we're going to do when we have a more complicated problem. It's just that we're going to condense it so that it's more easily seen instead of having to write all these numbers out. All right, so I have a credit card, and the APR is 19.9%. My billing cycle is, let's go with 29 days, and starts on, let's say, May 5th, 2013. All right, so if you have ever owned a credit card, you will note that your statement, when you get it, will have 3 columns in it. The first column is the date. The next column will be a short description. And the last column is the amount of the charge. Pretty straightforward. So, let's assume that for my credit card, for this 29-day billing cycle, on let's go with May 8th, I had to buy gas. And it cost me $40. On May 12th, let's see, May 12th. What's happening on May 12th? That's first. Is there anything special about May 12th? Yeah, no. Jacket, okay. What did I pay for that jacket, Shane? $80. So it was on sale because it's the beginning of the summer, so, probably a good move. All right. On the 22nd, I got to buy dinner. I already bought her flowers. I'm going to do it again. And then on the 28th, my last charge of the month, I had to buy a prescription, whatever, and it was a $10 copay. So I got the generic instead of the name brand. It's a $30 copay if you buy the name brand. Insurance, come on, Affordable Care Act. It's good stuff. All right, so my question to you is now, assuming, well, let's also say that I carried over no balance. No carryover balance, again. So last billing cycle, I paid my entire statement so that I didn't have to pay any interest or late fees. So what I want you to do with this statement is find how much interest I'll have to pay my credit card company if I don't pay my statement in full on time. All right? So find, and it will be called the finance charge. Your credit card company will literally call it a finance charge. They don't like to call it interest because interest sounds mean. A finance charge, it's more bank-like. It sounds like it's okay, and so that's the term they use. Again, don't ask me necessarily why, but they did a statistical study, and if they say interest charge, it sounds bad. But if they say finance charge, then it's like somehow an advisor came to your house and advised you that you should not pay off your credit card statement so that you could finance it. Just giving you the way it works. All right, so we need to do PRT. Now, instead of doing it this way, which is nasty, but doable, right? We could say that our first day, this is May 5th, right? This would be May 6th, this would be May 7th, this would be May 8th, this would be May 9th, this would be May 10th, etc., all the way through the calendar. We could do it, but do we want to? Okay, so the way you can do this quicker and more easily is to make a new table right next to your table of payments, or credits in this case, and give yourself one extra row. And the headers of these are going to be days and amount. Okay. You start your table. The amount column is where you start, and this number is always whatever balance you carried over from the last billing period. Okay? This amount from last billing cycle. So, since I carried over a balance of nothing, my amount is $0, just like it was over here. Now, in this section, we wrote down 0, however many days that we had 0. Over here, we just want to count how many times 0 existed, all right? In your billing cycles, this day counts as the first day of the cycle. So on the 5th of May, I borrowed nothing. On the 6th of May, I still borrowed nothing. On the 7th of May, I still borrowed nothing, but on the 8th, I borrowed $40. So how many days did I borrow $0? 3. And note, what is 8 minus 5? 3. Okay, now, when you get to the next row, take whatever the amount is and add it to whatever the prior amount was. All right? So you borrowed $40 to buy gas, so add 40 to the 0. So add the first row. And the number of days that that number existed, I'll count it for you one more time. We started on the 8th. It stayed the same on the 9th. It stayed the same on the 10th. And it stayed the same on the 11th. On the 12th, we made a new charge. So for 4 days, we borrowed $40. What's 12 minus 8? 4. So, go to the next row. Do the same thing. Add the amount to the next row. So we were at 40, now add the 80. We're now borrowing $120. Now that you've seen the pattern, how many days are we borrowing $120? That came from this row. Go to the row past it. What's the date? 22nd minus the 12th, 10 days. So what I saw one student doing once, and this was extremely clever, is that to the left of this, they wrote the dates that those numbers existed, just to be safe, right? Not a bad idea. Again, you don't have to do it. I tend not to because it tends to clutter things up. But if it helps you to write those dates in so that you can see what's 22 minus 12, well, it's 10. The next row, take the money, add it to whatever that current value is. All right? 50 plus the 120, that's $170. That goes from the 22nd to the 28th. 6 days. One last one to get our prescription. 180 bucks. Goes from the 28th to the end. What does that number have to be? Why? Right. So add your number of numbers. There's 23 days so far. My billing cycle was 29 days. This has to be days. Okay? And again, it's not a bad idea at the end to add up those numbers and make sure that it gives you the total number of days that you are working with on your billing cycle. Now, I didn't stress this enough last semester, and so I had a lot of students last semester who just took these numbers and added them up. Don't forget, the whole reason we are calculating the number of days that number exists is because that's how many times that number repeated. So you're adding 0 3 times. Here you're adding 40 to itself 4 times. So really, you are multiplying these two numbers. That's a 2, I swear. $10.80? This is the sum of all of these numbers that number of times. Then all you have to do is add these babies up. 6, carry your 1, 2, 4, no 1, 3460. Now you can calculate your average daily balance. So your ending balance was $180, but your average was only $119.31, okay? So this will be the number that you use when you calculate I equals PRT, right? So my P is 1 1931. My rate, 19.9%. Please convert it to a decimal point correctly. And then my time, 29 days. It always has to be exact. So 119.31. So how much am I going to pay in finance charges? That's right. What'd you get? No, it's right. Yeah, $1.89. No, of course not. Right? $1.89. That you have to really run up a huge amount on your credit card such that your monthly interest payment is more than whatever your late fee might be. I mean, what's the average late fee on a credit card? I mean, a good one's 35. The average is more like 60. That's what the late fee is for not paying your bill on time. If you at least make the minimum payment on this statement, which would probably be like $10, you will have to pay $1.89. For 1 month worth of borrowing $180 or not paying the statement, you will have to, next month, they will add an extra $1.89 to your statement. That's it. $2, right? Again, though, if you did pay nothing for this period instead of making the minimum payment, they would charge you $1.89 in interest plus, $50 late fee because you didn't pay on time. What I'm trying to point out, folks, is that the amount of interest you pay on a monthly charge is nothing compared to the late fee. Nothing. At least make a payment. The worst thing you can do on a credit card is forget to pay, because that's when they take you and just stab you in the back over and over and over again. And of course, as soon as those late fees hit, what do they start doing with the late fees? They start charging interest on the late fees that you didn't pay. And that's how this interest can get bigger, right? Is that you tack a late fee on it, and then another one, and then another one. And anyways, usually your finance charge is not that big, $2 to $10. I mean, most maximum amounts on a credit card are now somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000. If you charge this at $2,000, you'd pay like $20 in interest. Again, still not as much as the late fee. That's if you borrowed $2,000 for a month. So, what I'm trying to point out here is that late fees are what hurt. I mean, interest sucks. I mean, it's bad, but it's not as bad as all that, right? Again, though, if you wait, you're screwed. All right? Don't wait. Pay these off as much as you can. Though, of course, note again also that you owe $180. If you send them a check for $179, doesn't matter. They're still going to charge you the full $1.89 in interest, period. Okay? They don't care. If you don't pay this in full, this is how much you pay, no matter what. So whether you pay them $10, $20, $30, $179.99, if there's 1 penny left over at the end, entire full interest charge, period, on the average daily balance, no matter what. Okay, that's in the fine print. That's the way it works. All right? So if you're going to make a payment on this, I mean, it's better if you pay more of it off if at all possible, but it won't make a difference on the amount of interest you get charged until the next month when you still haven't paid it all off yet. All right? All right, so I would like to do another example. Can we do a short, quick one? until? We got enough time. Let's do one more short, quick. I'll make it short and sweet. The reason I want to do it is that we didn't really cover any of the screwy examples that may occur in a credit card statement. Because note, are there any payments inside of here? No, but you make payments to your credit card, right? How do those look? In addition, what happens when you charge two things on the same day? How does that work? Why would you charge two things on the same day? Exactly, but how would you add it? Well, it depends on how many days you're adding that number. All right, so let's try another. We'll just calculate average, and then we'll call it a day on that one. Yeah, uh-huh. So in other words,
Wouldn't that depend on how many occurrences there are allowed per day?
no, I mean, it's just how do you deal with it? That's what I'm trying to get at, right? So let's do the same type of example, except let's go to next month. So my statement starts on the 4th of, June? It's a 31-day cycle this time. And let's say this time I carry over a $50 balance. Because I didn't have a balance last time. Let's have one this time, okay? I'm always buying gas or not. Let's suppose on the 9th, it's a new month, I need flowers. I need more than flowers. I need flowers and dinner. Last month was a bad month. So on the same day, I bought flowers and dinner. On the 16th, just to be safe, I built up some points, bought some chocolates. Never hurts to build up, husband points. And then on the 23rd, gas. And it was in my wife's car. She's got a Subaru, $50. Bigger tank. All right, so my goal here is find the average daily balance for this statement. Oh, I didn't put a payment in there. Crap. On the 25th, let's suppose I got a payment of, $50. Pay my carryover. So I meant to pay $50 last month to pay the amount that was carried over, but I didn't write the check in time. Or worse yet, the check got lost in the mail, and so the bank was like, the credit card company's like, tough shit, You're paying interest on that prior bill. That's just life. Deal with it. All right, so the process remains the same. Give yourself one more row. Than you have in the number of entries into your credit card statement. Days and amount. First box in the amount, whatever you carried over. Before we carried over nothing, this time we're starting at 50. How many days did I have $50 in there? From the 4th to the 6th? 2 days. Add the amount for the next row. And this is going to go from this date to that date. 6/6 to 6/9. 3 days. Now, this next row, $25, 115. I'm going to borrow it from the ninth to the ninth because the next row has the same date. How many days are there between the ninth and the ninth? What's 9 minus 9? Because what Jill says is that on that one day, technically you have to add the numbers twice. And table, by putting a 0 here, it's like I didn't really add the 25 there. Because really, I need to add the 50 first before I start counting that day. All right? The cool part about it is that the process, if you do it like this, you can just, it works the exact same way, as long as you guys can take 9 minus 9 and actually tell me it's flipping 0 instead of 1. For some reason, everybody wants there to be a number in here that's not 0, and they'll put 1 there on the test. Don't be that person. Okay? 2 charges on the same day. There are no days between those 2 days. 0. All right? So now continue the process, though. When you get to the next row, add the amount. And this is going to go from the 9th to the 6th. 7 days. Keep processing. 185 from the 16th to the 23rd. 7 more days. Get to your gas, 50 bucks. Keep adding. From the 23rd to the 25th. 2 days. Payments. What do payments do to your statement or to your bill? When you make a payment, it's not a credit, it's a debit. So what am I going to do with this $50 here? Subtract it. Payments take money off your bill. Right? Keep your, we get a little carried away sometimes where we're like, we add. Well, it makes a difference as to whether it's a charge or a credit or a payment, right? So we actually subtract $50 from the $235 and go back down to $185. And this is the last one. This goes into the end. What does this number have to be? 5, 12, 19, 21. 31-day billing cycle, 10 days. Again, make sure this adds up to 31, and then play the game, right? Please remember how to multiply by 0. You know, just don't forget. Oh, crap, that's a nasty number. 5, 3, 42, 5, 4, 11. 5, 3, 56, 9, 5, 12. 470 and 1850. Right, so these are your totals. Remember that that's what you add up and then divide by the 31. So 0, carrier 1, 8, 13, 22, 29, 20, 29, 34, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 13, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5140. And our average daily balance is then those two numbers divided, right? That one I can't do in my head. So my average daily balance for this particular credit card statement was $165.81. That's what I would use to calculate my interest if, for some reason, God forbid, I didn't pay the full $185 for that billing cycle within the grace period that they give me. All right, so that's chapter 14. Folks, on the homework, skip number 16. because we didn't cover it and I don't want to.
Anything else?
There's only 7 problems on this homework set, so please.
Can we get extra credit if we do it?
I'd probably do that. Yeah. You can also get extra credit from number 18 too, which is the challenge problem. Do realize though, just 7 problems. So while I'm not telling you to purposefully delay, but for some reason I think the writer of the book got tired and quit making questions at the end, because chapter 14 only has 7. I think chapter 15 only has 8.
How many chapters are we going to get to?
We're going to do 15 next week, and then 22 the following week, and then we're done.
If that's over, it's done.
Yep, then you take a test, and then you take a final.
Do we get a note card for the final?
You get to use this. You can write whatever you want in any of the blank space of this. I will not ask you to open it. So, yes, you could write out a note card and put it in here, but if that makes you feel better about it, you could do it. I'm okay with that. Have a whole page, so. Yeah, I mean, full sheet of paper, it's stapled onto the thing, that's fine too. Ooh, Grant, could you turn me off? Just hit the little red button at the bottom.